If you clicked on this thinking you already know the truth behind the world's most famous stories, stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll have exactly what you came for. We're not just talking about random myths. We're talking about stories you've believed for years. Stories repeated in classrooms, documentaries, social media threads, and blockbuster films. Some of them are partially true, some are wildly exaggerated, and some are completely made up. The twist? Most people never question them. Let's start with something that sounds like it belongs in a superhero origin story. Imagine being struck by lightning once. Terrifying, right? Now imagine surviving it. Rare, but possible. Now imagine that happening 7 times. Between 1942 and 1977, a park ranger named Roy Sullivan was struck by lightning on 7 separate occasions and survived every single one. Each strike left damage. His eyebrows burned off, his hair caught fire, his shoulder was badly injured, yet somehow he lived through all of it. His name is recorded in Guinness World Records for surviving the most lightning strikes in history. Statistically, this borders on impossible. Scientists studied the case because repeated lightning strikes on the same individual are extraordinarily rare. And yet, here we are, proof that sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. Now let's move into something people argue about all the time: dark humor. If you enjoy dark jokes, chances are someone has looked at you sideways at some point. But research paints a surprising picture. Studies have suggested that people who genuinely understand and appreciate dark humor often score higher on intelligence tests and show stronger emotional regulation. That doesn't mean every person who laughs at a morbid joke is a genius, but there is a pattern. Processing dark humor requires navigating complex emotional and moral layers. It's not about cruelty, it's about cognitive flexibility. In other words, sometimes the people who laugh at the darkest jokes are the ones who understand emotional nuance the best. Now let's take a quick trip to Tokyo. Imagine walking into a store, paying an entry fee, and being told you can legally shoplift for 30 seconds. Whatever you can carry in that time is yours. It sounds absurd, but there are creative business concepts inspired by Japanese game show culture that revolve around exactly that. For around $7, participants get a controlled adrenaline rush. The products available are typically low-cost, everyday items, so the store doesn't suffer significant losses. What customers are really paying for is the thrill, the simulation of doing something rebellious without actual consequences. Psychologists often explain that humans crave controlled risk. When the danger is removed but the excitement remains, it becomes a powerful attraction. Visitors record their attempts, post them online, and unintentionally market the experience for free. It's clever, it's unusual, and it works.
Now, zoom out to something much bigger: planet Earth. Scientists widely agree that our planet has experienced 5 mass extinction events in its history. These were catastrophic periods when a majority of life forms were wiped out. The extinction of the dinosaurs is the most famous example. But many researchers now argue that we are living through the 6th mass extinction. And this time, the driving force isn't an asteroid or volcanic eruption. It's human activity. Deforestation, pollution, climate change, habitat destruction. The extinction rate of species today is significantly higher than natural background levels. This isn't a dramatic movie plot. It's measurable reality unfolding in real time. Here's one that might make you slightly uncomfortable. Statistically speaking, you are never more than about 3 to 10 feet away from a spider. They live in walls, ceilings, corners, behind furniture, almost everywhere. But before you panic, here's the reassuring part. Most spiders want nothing to do with you. They actively avoid humans. In fact, they play a vital ecological role by controlling pests like mosquitoes and flies. So while the idea might feel unsettling, spiders are far more helpful than harmful. Now imagine sitting in a room so silent that you can hear your own blood moving. In specially designed anechoic chambers, the quietest rooms in the world, people report hearing their heartbeat clearly. Some even hear subtle internal body sounds, like blood flowing through vessels. Without external noise, your brain amplifies internal signals. But here's the interesting part. Most people can't tolerate this level of silence for more than about 45 minutes. Total silence feels unnatural. Our brains evolved in environments filled with background noise, wind, animals, distant movement. Remove all of it, and the mind starts turning inward in ways that can feel psychologically disturbing. Let's talk about speed. The cheetah is the fastest land animal on Earth. Yet, despite its incredible velocity, there are no confirmed records of wild cheetahs killing humans. Unlike lions or leopards, cheetahs are relatively small and naturally timid. Their bodies are built for sprinting, not fighting. They avoid confrontation and tend to steer clear of humans altogether. It's a reminder that power and aggression aren't always the same thing. Now let's challenge your intuition with math. The birthday paradox states that in a room of just 23 people, there's about a 50% chance that 2 of them share the same birthday. That sounds impossible at first. After all, there are 365 days in a year. But here's the key. It's not about matching your birthday with someone else's. It's about any 2 people matching. With 23 people, there are 253 possible pair combinations. The probability adds up quickly. It's counterintuitive, but mathematically sound, and repeatedly verified through experiments.
Now shifting into entertainment. A live-action series centered around Spider-Man Noir, starring Nicolas Cage, has explored the idea of releasing both black and white and color versions simultaneously. The black and white version embraces the classic noir aesthetic, staying true to the comic's visual roots. The color version appeals to modern mainstream audiences. From a production standpoint, this is technically demanding. Lighting and cinematography must be carefully designed to function effectively in both formats. It's a creative way to protect artistic integrity while maintaining commercial appeal. Let's shift to relationships. Research has shown that unequal distribution of household labor can significantly increase stress, particularly when one partner perceives imbalance. When chores are pending and one person is relaxing on the couch, the other may experience heightened tension. Studies consistently indicate that modern relationships increasingly value equality. What one partner views as harmless relaxation, the other may interpret as unfairness. These dynamics frequently appear in therapy discussions, reflecting how deeply shared responsibility influences emotional well-being. Now let's talk about sleep. Consistently getting fewer than 6 hours of sleep per night impacts memory, mood, and decision-making ability. Irritability rises, cognitive processing slows. Long-term sleep deprivation has been linked to increased risks of heart disease and diabetes. Healthy sleep routines, dark rooms, consistent bedtimes, limited screen exposure before bed aren't just lifestyle trends. They directly affect physical and mental health. Then there's the placebo effect. When patients are given a harmless pill and told it's medicine, many report genuine improvement. Pain decreases, symptoms ease. Brain chemistry changes in response to belief alone. This doesn't mean medicine isn't necessary, but it demonstrates how powerful the mind is in influencing the body. Doctors study this effect carefully to better understand how perception and expectation shape healing. Now let's break down something you see every day: pricing. Take bottled water. A 1-liter bottle sold for around 20 rupees may cost roughly 6.6 rupees to manufacture. The difference comes from distribution, wholesaler margins, retailer margins, transportation, marketing, and packaging. A 5-rupee pencil might cost around 2.5 rupees to produce, sold in bulk to wholesalers for slightly more, then to retailers, and finally to customers. Instant noodles priced at 14 rupees may have a manufacturing cost around 7 rupees. A 1-rupee childhood candy might cost only 40 to 50 paise to produce. The margins per unit are small, but volume changes everything. When millions of units are sold, profit accumulates. The illusion is thinking price equals production cost. It rarely does.
Now we reach some of the most famous stories people still believe. The blockbuster film Titanic told one of the most iconic love stories in cinema history, Jack and Rose. But that romance was fictional. Director James Cameron openly stated that those characters were invented to humanize the historical tragedy. However, certain characters like Molly Brown and Edward Smith were real historical figures. The tragedy was real. The central love story was not. Another long-repeated tale claims that after building the Taj Mahal, Shah Jahan ordered the workers' hands to be cut off so they could never replicate its beauty. It's dramatic. It's memorable. It's also unsupported by solid historical evidence. There are no reliable Mughal records confirming this act. Multiple historians and archaeological authorities have described it as a myth, yet it continues to circulate as fact. And then there's the viral penguin story. In the 2007 documentary Encounters at the End of the World by Werner Herzog, a penguin was shown leaving its colony and walking alone towards distant mountains in Antarctica. Online, the story was reframed as a poetic metaphor: loneliness, rebellion, existential despair. But scientists clarified that this behavior is often the result of natural disorientation. Penguins rely on internal navigation systems that can occasionally malfunction. When that happens, they may wander in seemingly irrational directions. The emotional narrative was created afterward. And that's the pattern. Stories evolve, details get added, emotions get amplified. Social media accelerates everything. What begins as a small fact can transform into a dramatic legend within days. The truth is, humans love stories more than facts. We love meaning, we love symbolism, we love heroes and villains and poetic endings. But reality is often quieter, more complex, and sometimes less cinematic. So the next time you hear a fact that sounds too perfect, pause. Ask where it came from. Ask who benefits from you believing it. Because sometimes the most famous stories in the world aren't lies exactly. They're just beautifully packaged fiction wrapped around a fragment of truth. And once you start noticing that, you'll never listen to viral stories the same way again.